A deathly ill Zhao Yuanqing lies in bed as her half-sister. The imperial noble consort Zhao Sulan taunts her, remarking that she doesn't have much time left. Yuanqing bitterly recalls how her life was ruined after falling into a river and being saved by Zhu Suking, an incident that destroyed her reputation and forced her into a miserable marriage with the philandering heir. She tells Sulan to leave, but Sulan reveals a horrifying gift: the severed head of their grandfather, the old general. Yuanqing recoils in shock, remembering her grandfather's promise to always protect her. Sulan confesses she framed him for treason, whispering lies to the emperor out of jealousy because the old general always favored Yuanqing. Enraged, Yuanqing lunges at Sulan, screaming that she'll kill her, but Sulan easily shoves her to the ground. Sulan then reveals the ultimate betrayal. Yuanqing's fall into the water was a plot orchestrated by Sulan and Yuanqing's supposed best friend, Fu Leli, to prevent her from entering the palace. As a final blow, Sulan informs her that her husband is divorcing her for alleged infidelity before ordering guards to drag her away. Thrown out into the rain, Yuanqing finally understands the depth of Sulan's hatred and curses her enemies, swearing to return as a vengeful spirit to exact her revenge. As she lies dying, Sulan's voice echoes with news of her family's utter destruction. Her brother is missing, her mother has committed suicide, and the entire Zhao household is being executed for treason. As Yuanqing vows revenge one last time, she suddenly wakes up in her old room. Her personal maid Sanian is alive and well and informs her that it is the 16th year of Jiaqing's reign. Yuanqing realizes with a jolt that she has returned to the past, back to when she was 16, just as her friend Fu Leli enters, inviting her to see the peach blossoms at Guon Temple. Remembering Fu Leli's betrayal, Yuanqing agrees to the outing, determined to rewrite her fate. When Zhao Sulan asks to join them, Yuanqing smiles and allows it, but inwardly seethes, unnerving Sulan by darkly joking about digging out her pretty eyes and admiring her skin. At the beautiful peach blossom forest, Fu Leli begins her act, lamenting that she doesn't want to be locked away in the palace and wishes she could marry someone else. As she reaches out to push Yuanqing, Yuanqing spins around, catching her off guard and asking if she truly wants a different marriage. When Fu Leli confirms it, Yuanqing declares she will make it happen and shoves Fu Leli into the water instead. As Fu Leli screams for help, Yuanqing calmly notes that Zhu Suking arrived to play the hero, just as she remembered. Sulan watches in horror as her plan unravels. Zhu Suking pulls the woman from the water, only to realize it isn't Yuanqing. Seeing the witnesses Sulan arranged, Yuanqing decides to put on a show. When Sulan accuses her of pushing Fu Leli, Yuanqing slaps her across the face. She then loudly berates Sulan for being so cruel, turning the entire plot against her. Sulan is stunned, unable to comprehend how Yuanqing discovered their scheme. The lady of the Duke of Jingguo confronts a stammering Sulan, who denies everything but is immediately called a liar. Seeing she has lost, Sulan can only watch as the lady orders everyone away. Yuanqing walks past her, sarcastically calling her a fine actress. Alone, Yuanqing examines the ground and finds moss, confirming they had tampered with the path to make her fall. As she cleans it up, she is spotted by the feared director of the Eastern Depot, Zhuang Lai. Recognizing the dangerously powerful man, she greets him formally, resolving to avoid him at all costs. Zhuang Lai, however, finds her interesting. As she departs, his shadow guard asks if he's taken an interest in her, and Zhuang Lai admits that he has a little. Back at the Fu estate, Yuanqing confronts the recovering Fu Leli, coldly informing her that her wish has been granted. Her public embrace with Zhu Suking has sealed their engagement. She then lies, telling Fu Leli it was Zhao Sulan who pushed her into the water, and advises her to accept the marriage to the handsome heir. Fu Leli, realizing the Zhao family is too powerful to defy, reluctantly agrees. The next day, Yuanqing returns home and is overcome with emotion upon seeing her mother alive and well, collapsing into her arms in tears. After Sanian explains what happened, Yuanqing reassures her furious mother that she is fine. She reflects that while she has successfully altered her past, it means she is now destined for the palace. She vows never to marry the tyrant emperor who destroyed her family, realizing her only hope of opposing him is the powerful eunuch Zhuang Lai. Yuanqing goes to Zhuang Lai's residence with homemade pastries, intent on forming an alliance. After being rebuffed by his guards, she confesses that she met him at the temple and has fallen for him. Zhuang Lai is intrigued and grants her an audience. She formally greets him and declares her undying devotion, stating she would give up becoming a royal consort just for him. He coolly asks what this has to do with him. Realizing he won't ally with her, she retreats, saying she will keep her feelings to herself. After she is dismissed, Zhuang Lai muses that her move was clever. Her public confession to a eunuch sends a powerful, insulting message to the paranoid emperor, who would never keep a woman with ties to Zhuang Lai near him. Back home, Yuanqing is summoned by her father. In his study, Sulan's mother, concubine Wen, immediately berates her for her scandalous behavior. Yuanqing coolly dismisses her before apologizing to her father. To concubine Wen's shock, her father's anger melts away and he gently comforts Yuanqing, guessing she must be troubled. He later assures Yuanqing that if this incident helps her avoid the consort selection, it may be a blessing, and warns that the Zhao family will not tolerate insults from anyone. Sulan, learning that Yuanqing has escaped punishment, seethes with rage. In the imperial palace, Emperor Kai Zeli is furious at Yuanqing's public display of disrespect and resolves to teach her a lesson. The next day, Yuanqing is stopped in the palace by the arrogant 10th princess. The princess declares that she dislikes Yuanqing and gives her the choice of slapping herself or being slapped. Yuanqing refuses the punishment and the princess orders her attendants to seize her. Having been trained in combat, Yuanqing easily incapacitates the attendants. She then audaciously claims she did it for the princess's own good, enraging the young royal. As the princess throws a tantrum, her nanny arrives and accuses Yuanqing of disrespecting the royal bloodline, asking if she only honors the Zhao family. Yuanqing realizes this was the emperor's true trap all along. Zhao Yuanqing tells the nanny that there's no need for such heavy accusations, as she respects the ruler-subject relationship and won't let ill-intentioned servants spoil the princess's nature. She then turns the accusation back on the nanny, stating that as a servant to her highness, failing to advise her properly is what truly shames the royal grace she was given. The nanny, incensed, exclaims that Zhao Yuanqing has a sharp tongue and questions if a lowly court girl is allowed to lecture a princess, asking how she would answer for it if her highness were injured. Zhao Yuanqing calmly retorts that the princess tripped on her own, and since when is it a crime not to catch someone who falls, suggesting the nanny should question the princess's own attendants. The young princess, sitting on the ground, points and yells that Zhao Yuanqing dodged on purpose, asking how she would have fallen otherwise. Yuanqing coolly asks why her falling would depend on whether she moved, unless the princess is suggesting she ran into her on purpose. She states that as a mere court daughter facing the royal family, she has nothing to say in her defense if His Majesty punishes her, secretly thinking that if the emperor does punish her, she'll make him regret it. The onlookers whisper that by refusing to admit fault, she is calling the princess a liar and slandering royalty. Just as the princess is about to speak, a man's voice interrupts, remarking on the coincidence. The man, Lord Zhuanglai, appears and mockingly asks if a mere servant has gotten bold enough to use the name of royalty to bite at others. The nanny and princess greet him as Lord Zhuang. Yuanqing recognizes Zhuanglai, noting that he's always been a wild card to her. She greets him formally, and he addresses her as the Zhao family's little girl and his devoted admirer. Much to her internal embarrassment, Zhuanglai turns to the nanny and asks if she was the one who said second Miss Zhao slandered the 10th princess. He declares that second Miss Zhao is his admirer and recalls how she honestly called him good-looking, a sincerity not many possess. The terrified nanny immediately retracts her statement, declaring that everything Miss Zhao says is true. The terrified nanny immediately retracts her statement, declaring that everything Miss Zhao says is true. Zhuanglai then corners her again, asking if she is now saying the princess lied, a sin of accusing royalty. The nanny stammers that she didn't mean that, as Yuanqing observes how Zhuanglai can leave people trembling with just a few words. Zhuanglai continues his theatrical speech, saying that after 20 years, he finally has a beautiful, talented admirer, and it would be very embarrassing for him if she were to lose even a single strand of hair. He dismisses the situation as boring and tells the nanny to go receive her punishment. The nanny thanks him profusely and promises never to offend Miss Zhao again. After she leaves, Zhuanglai asks Zhao Yuanqing if she has ever trained for self-defense, to which she replies she knows a little. He says that isn't enough and offers to have his guard Chen Mo train her. He explains that since he has made it known she is his admirer, his face is on the line if anything happens to her, as he protects his own. Yuanqing thinks that while it feels comforting when he faces her enemies, it's nerve-wracking when he speaks directly to her. She thanks him but politely declines, stating she can protect herself. Impressed by her composure, Zhuanglai says she's not bad and that there's no need to meet the emperor today. He will take her home instead, which surprises her. At the Zhao estate, she thanks him for the escort. As he leaves, Yuanqing ponders his unpredictable behavior, wondering why he is acting so approachable when she was supposed to be the one feigning affection for a detached man. From behind the estate gate, her sister Zhao Sulan watches with a malicious grin, plotting to tell their father about Yuanqing meeting a man in secret. Inside the estate, Zhao Sulan confronts Yuanqing, mockingly commenting on her meeting another man after publicly confessing to a eunuch. Yuanqing coldly asks if her personal conduct is any of Sulan's concern. Sulan claims she is trying to save the family from the disgrace of Yuanqing's behavior, accusing her of flirting with eunuchs and being escorted by strange men. Yuanqing scolds her, questioning if her etiquette lessons taught her that a concubine-born daughter can lecture the legitimate heir. Sulan feigns innocence, asking if her sister is taking offense over something so small and calling her petty. In response, Zhao Yuanqing slaps her across the face, shocking Sulan. Yuanqing states that since Sulan called her petty, she simply honored her words. She warns Sulan that she has been playing along for appearances for too long and that from now on, she should tread carefully, as titles mean nothing to someone who has already died once. Yuanqing then orders Sulan to stay out of her sight. A shocked Sulan wonders if Yuanqing has gone mad, but her maid advises her not to confront her directly anymore. Sulan, however, refuses to accept this and orders her maid Zihong to slap her face until it's red. Later, at dinner with their father, Sulan's mother mentions that Sulan felt unwell, but then reveals there's a distinct handprint on her face. Their father storms into Sulan's room, where she's crying with a bright red mark on her cheek. When he asks if Yuanqing hit her, Sulan claims it was her own fault for speaking carelessly and upsetting her sister. She explains that she only reminded Yuanqing it wasn't proper to be escorted home by a strange man. The father summons Yuanqing, who arrives and asks why he called for her. When asked if she struck her sister, Yuanqing calmly confirms that she did. Her father slams the table in anger, but Yuanqing explains that concubine-born daughters often lack proper upbringing and that she was disciplining Sulan to prevent her from bringing disgrace upon the family. She suggests their father ask Sulan herself what was said. Sulan repeats her story about Yuanqing flirting with a eunuch and being escorted home. When her father demands an explanation, Yuanqing reveals that the man who escorted her home was Zhuang Lai. This revelation stuns both her father and Sulan. Yuanqing explains that refusing Lord Zhuang would have been impolite, and that Sulan's public disapproval could have been mistaken by him as discontent from the entire Zhao family, framing her slap as a way to protect her foolish sister. Her father angrily tells Sulan to learn to hold her tongue, leaving Sulan furious that her plan backfired. Later, Yuanqing meets with her grandfather, who has just returned. He acknowledges her tactic of using Zhuang Lai to avoid entering the palace, but warns her not to get too entangled with him. Yuanqing explains her encounter with the 10th princess, suspecting the emperor is behind it and that he no longer has a place for the Zhao family. She proposes a strategy. By staying close to Zhuang Lai, she can create a three-way power balance where the emperor will be wary of them but won't act, ensuring the family's safety. Her grandfather, though concerned about Zhuang Lai's reputation, agrees to let her follow her heart. The next day, Yuanqing instructs her maid to have someone watch Sulan, anticipating she will try to contact Zhu Suking. Suddenly, a man appears in her courtyard, introducing himself as Chen Mo, sent by Lord Zhuang to teach her martial arts. He casually mentions he climbed over the walls so no one would see him. Realizing this is Zhuang Lai's ploy to make her visit him, she tells Chen Mo she will go to the Eastern Depot to speak with him herself. Arriving at the Eastern Depot in a male disguise, she announces she has an appointment. She is led to Zhuang Lai, who feigns surprise at her visit. She states she came willingly to thank him for his offer, but also to ask him to withdraw it, as she would rather seek instruction from her maternal grandfather's family. Zhuang Lai changes the subject, mentioning an upcoming Kuju match hosted by noble sons that he finds amusing, but feels it would be dull to attend alone. Understanding his hint, Yuanqing offers to accompany him. Back at the estate, Zhuang Lai arrives in a carriage to pick her up. However, Zhao Sulan intercepts him, introducing herself and expressing her deep admiration. Zhuang Lai mockingly asks if she admires how ruthless he is, mentioning rumors that he drinks blood and eats children. Sulan dismisses them as slander, but he confirms they are true. He looks her over and says that while not as pretty as her sister, she is barely passable and would make a nice human skin lantern to hang over the Eastern Bureau gates. He proceeds to describe in gruesome detail how to peel the skin off a living person to make the best lantern, horrifying Sulan. He then orders his men to take the screaming Sulan away to fulfill her wish. As his guards drag her off, Yuanqing arrives, having witnessed the scene. Zhuang Lai notes she doesn't share her sister's enthusiasm to become a lantern for him. He asks if she wants to save her, but she calmly gets into the carriage, ready to leave. Sulan screams at Yuanqing for letting her die without lifting a finger. Inside the carriage, Zhuang Lai asks Yuanqing if she really doesn't care for her sister. She coolly replies no. He asks if this is how a young lady shows affection. She smoothly replies that she only assumed this is how he preferred to be admired and that she simply wanted to please him. Upon arriving at their destination, Zhuang Lai takes her hand, noting it's the first time he's touched a lady's hand and asking if they are all as soft as hers, causing Yuanqing to be flustered that a eunuch just flirted with her. A man from the Zhu family greets Zhuang Lai and Zhao Yuanqing at the Kuju tournament grounds, offering Zhuang Lai a special seat with a better view. Zhuang Lai declines, stating he is simply there to accompany Miss Zhao and is concerned she won't be able to talk with her sisters if her family is seated too far away. The Zhu family master looks stressed, but agrees to rearrange the Zhao family's seats. Zhuang Lai presses further, suggesting there must also be longtime friends from her mother's side she would want to see. The master quickly gives orders to clear a seat, moving the Lai family to the back. Zhao Yuanqing thinks to herself that Zhuang Lai is not easy to deal with, having caused a headache for the Zhu family with just a few words. She asks him if his visit is about more than just watching the match, but he evasively claims he is just there for the game and that she worries too much. Knowing she can't trust him, she expresses fear that she won't be able to play along with his plans. He reassures her of their unspoken understanding, adding that knowing everything ahead of time spoils the fun. Elsewhere, the third daughter of the Fu family, Fu Lelai, listens as another girl comments on how kindly Zhuang Lai treats Zhao Yuanqing, predicting she will rise quickly in the palace with his support. Fu Lelai scoffs, resentful that Yuanqing ruined her chance and has now latched onto a better connection. Deciding to pay her a visit, Fu Lelai approaches, only to be stopped by a guard who states that Lord Zhuang prefers peace and uninvited guests must leave. Fu Lelai shouts that she is from the Fu family and friends with Miss Zhao. Zhuang Lai comments that if Miss Zhao wants a show, he will enjoy whatever she performs. Yuanqing resolves to give him the entertainment he wants. Fu Lelai calls out to Yuanqing, asking to be let in, but Yuanqing replies that the guards only follow Lord Zhuang's orders and she cannot command them. When asked to appeal to Lord Zhuang, Yuanqing feigns fear, referencing the rumors about him. Another woman tells Yuanqing not to mind Fu Lelai's behavior and they depart. Yuanqing muses that this is just the beginning and that Zhao Sulan is already losing her patience. Just then, an attendant announces the arrival of His Majesty, Emperor Ming'an, shocking Yuanqing. She immediately understands that the emperor is the one Zhuang Lai truly wants to confront. She thinks about how the drama between the three of them is well known among the noble families, and now they are all about to face each other. She tells Zhuang Lai she is not as bold as him and never planned to challenge the emperor so openly, but he simply tells her to watch as the show is just getting started. The Zhu master panics about where to seat the emperor now that Zhuang Lai has taken the best spot. The emperor, upon learning Zhuang Lai is present, decides to find him personally, fuming that Zhuang Lai is doing this on purpose. He approaches their table and asks what brings Zhuang Lai to such a lively event. After formal greetings, Zhuang Lai states he is there as Lady Zhao's escort. Annoyed that he is being used to provoke the emperor, Yuanqing stays silent as the Kuju match begins. Zhuang Lai offers her a pastry and she accepts. Seeing this, the emperor asks Lady Zhao to explain the rules of the match to him, knowing she is his chosen future empress. Zhuang Lai then suggests that she seems tense and should go join her sisters. Wanting to avoid the confrontation, Yuanqing agrees and takes her leave. Zhuang Lai watches her go, thinking she is heartless. The emperor offers to find someone to explain the game, but Zhuang Lai declines, saying some things only matter when the right person says them. Meanwhile, Yuanqing joins her sister and notices Zhao Sulan nearby, thinking that the appetizer she prepared is ready. In a tea house, Fu Lelai learns from her maid that Zhao Sulan has been secretly meeting with her betrothed, Heir Zhu. They follow them to a private room where Sulan is crying to the heir about their forced separation. He declares that he has only ever wanted to marry her. As they embrace, Fu Lelai kicks the door open, calling them a wretched, shameless pair of adulterers. She orders her guards to tie them up. The heir threatens her, but she retorts that since he wronged her first, she will strip them both, tie them together, and throw them onto the street. Sulan's maid panics and runs to find Zhao Yuanqing for help. Yuanqing, who had already arranged for the news to be spread, admits to herself that the situation is satisfying before agreeing to go. She arrives to find Sulan begging Fu Lelai for mercy. Yuanqing calmly intervenes, assuring Fu Lelai that the Zhao family will give her a satisfying answer for this transgression. Fu Lelai agrees to spare Sulan this one time and leaves the rest to Yuanqing. Yuanqing then coldly provides a cloak for the disgraced Sulan, telling her to go home. Sulan cries out that Yuanqing ruined her, but Yuanqing replies that Sulan ruined herself. Sulan collapses in despair and begins slapping herself while screaming. Yuanqing watches impassively, thinking this pain is nothing compared to what she suffered in her last life, before ordering Sulan to be sent home. Back at the tournament, Zhuang Lai's perfunctory act infuriates the emperor, who vows to repay the slight. After the match, Zhuang Lai escorts Yuanqing home. In the carriage, she wonders about his ultimate plan, certain he is targeting the emperor. As she arrives home, concubine Wen, Sulan's mother, lunges at her, screaming that she will kill her for ruining her daughter. The matriarch's attendant intervenes, and concubine Wen is ordered to be locked in the ancestral hall with Sulan. In the matriarch's chambers, the old woman thanks Yuanqing for saving the family's reputation and decides they must apologize to the Fu family. Later, it is revealed that Fu Lelai still agreed to marry heir Zhu but with strict conditions. No concubines for a year, she holds the household reins, and the betrothal gifts must be doubled. She also secured a future promise from the Zhao family. A few days later, the palace selection begins. Yuanqing tells her mother she is merely going through the motions, as the emperor will likely drop her because of her association with Zhuang Lai. As she stands before the Meridian Gate, she reflects that she has chosen a new path and will hold her fate in her own hands. A woman introducing herself as Nanny Lai of Kixiu Palace addresses the newly arrived palace candidates, informing them she is in charge of their lodging and will answer any questions they have. She immediately lays down their first lesson, to watch their words and actions within the palace. When one of the women looks up defiantly, Nanny Lai sharply rebukes her, stating that this is not the outside world and any pride they held must be discarded. She commands all of them to lower their heads as they stand in the courtyard. The candidates soon begin whispering amongst themselves about a grand escort approaching, but Nanny Lai quickly silences them. A procession appears carrying a man in an ornate sedan chair who orders his bearers to halt. The man, Lord Zhuang, looks down from his chair and remarks on the coincidence of seeing second Miss Zhao there. Zhao Yuanqing greets him formally. Lord Zhuang asks what this is about, questioning why she is among the palace candidates. He tells her it is unfair, reminding her she had claimed to fancy him, yet here she was for the selection, and pointedly asks if she dislikes him for being a eunuch. Knowing it is a test, Zhao Yuanqing boldly asks if Lord Zhuang would be willing to marry her then. Lord Zhuang is impressed by her sharp tongue, and notes that since she was raised in comfort, the walk to Kixiu Palace must be far. He offers to have his attendants carry her partway so she won't hurt her feet. Leaning in close, he whispers that if she truly wishes to deal with their mutual enemy, she should not refuse his goodwill. Seeing this as confirmation of their alliance, Zhao Yuanqing accepts, stating it would be rude to decline, and thanks him. She realizes that Zhuang Lai does indeed intend to work with her. He expresses his approval of her decisive nature and says he will see her later. As she is carried off in the sedan chair, the other candidates and a stunned Nanny Lai watch. Zhao Yuanqing thinks to herself that this stunt will surely cause the Mingyan Emperor a sleepless night, but it at least takes some weight off her. Nanny Lai approaches and informs Lady Zhao of palace rules, requesting that she dismount and walk with the servants. Zhao Yuanqing challenges her, asking why she doesn't refute Lord Zhuang instead. Nanny Lai sternly reminds her that before her rank is set, she is just a mere candidate like everyone else. Dismissing the lecture, Yuanqing points out that Nanny Lai doesn't dare offend Lord Zhuang, and neither does she, offering to walk if the nanny can persuade him. She adds that the chair feels like sitting on pins and needles anyway, and slyly asks Nanny Lai to help her. The flustered nanny warns her she is courting disaster. Unbothered, Yuanqing asks if they can proceed, complaining that the sun is sharp. The procession moves on, carrying Yuanqing past the other walking candidates. She reflects that she now understands Zhuang Lai's disregard for others, as it's natural to make oneself comfortable after gaining power. The other girls whisper, asking who she is and why she gets to sit. One explains she is the Grand Tutor's daughter but has no spine, flattering a eunuch for personal gain. Another candidate, Han Shui, laments that the heroic Zhao clan will be ruined by her disgraceful actions. Yuanqing overhears and pointedly asks Miss Han if she is tired, causing the girl to angrily demand what she means. After some time, she asks again if Miss Han is tired yet. Han Shui explodes, yelling that she is extremely tired and asking if she is satisfied. Yuanqing calmly observes that she doesn't seem tired after all and says she will ask again later. Continuing on her way, she once more calls out, asking if Miss Han is tired and complaining about sitting alone. When she gets no answer, she announces she will ask again in a bit. Finally, she asks one last time if Miss Han is tired yet. Han Shui snaps, screaming that she is extremely tired and demanding to know if she's satisfied. Yuanqing calmly points to the space beside her and invites her to sit together, but then feigns realization, saying she cannot give up a seat personally granted by Lord Zhuang and tells Miss Han to keep being tired. Yuanqing smirks, considering it fair punishment for the slander and admitting to herself that teasing people is rather fun, a trait she should learn from Zhuang Lai. Later, at Kixu Palace, Zhao Yuanqing is assigned a private room due to her high birth. Near dusk, the candidates gather to collect their supper boxes. A girl named Zhu Ningyi cuts in front of Yuanqing, declaring she'll take the food box first. Yuanqing recognizes her as part of a family loyal to the emperor and realizes that by aligning with Zhuang Lai, she has made them her opposition. As Zhu Ningyi reaches for box, Yuanqing subtly trips her. Looking down at the fallen girl, Yuanqing sarcastically remarks that there was no need for such a deep bow over a simple food box. Zhu Ningyi furiously accuses her of tripping her, but her friends notice her head is bleeding. Seeing the blood on her hand, Zhu Ningyi panics, crying that everything is over if she's disfigured. As the other girls rush Zhu Ningyi away and whisper about keeping their distance from the troublesome Zhao Miss, a friendly voice calls out to her. A girl introduces herself as Yunwai and asks to be her friend. Yunwai explains she saw the whole incident and admires Yuanqing's temperament, tired of the pretentious girls from the capital. Yuanqing correctly deduces Yunwai is the daughter of a general from the frontier. Yunwai then admits she wants to be friends, so she can have supper in Yuanqing's private room to avoid her difficult roommates. Sensing no ill will, Yuanqing agrees. Their meal is interrupted by Nanny Lai, who arrives to escort Yuanqing to answer for Zhu Ningyi's injury. Yunwai tries to defend her, but Yuanqing calms her down and agrees to go. She is brought before Nanny Zheng, the emperor's wet nurse, and Zhu Ningyi, whose head is now bandaged. Yuanqing denies deliberately injuring her. She calmly argues that she simply stretched her leg and couldn't have anticipated Zhu Ningyi, who already had a food box, would suddenly rush in front of her to grab another. When Nanny Zheng accuses her of having a sharp tongue, Yuanqing challenges the Nana's impartiality, questioning whether they are unable to tell right from wrong or are deliberately shielding someone. She declares she will not stay silent in the face of injustice. Realizing they cannot punish Yuanqing without repercussions, the other Nanas declare the incident a simple misunderstanding, overrule Nanny Zheng and send the girls to rest. As Yuanqing leaves, Zhu Ningyi glares after her, vowing revenge. Yuanqing reflects that she is no longer bound by propriety like in her past life and will live freely. News of the incident reaches Lord Zhuang, who is amused by her temperament. Annoyed that she was bullied under his nose, he orders his attendant and Sheng to smooth things over with the Nanas from the Bureau of Rights and to prepare his palace residence, as he intends to move back in to ensure she lives in comfort, as if at home. The next day, eunuchs deliver a lavish breakfast to Yuanqing on Lord Zhuang's orders. Her new friend Yunwai joins her and they eat together while Zhu Ningyi watches from a distance, consumed with jealousy. Later, during etiquette training, the instructor, Nanny Wang, exempts Yuanqing from practice as a favor to Lord Zhuang. Zhu Ningyi publicly questions this special treatment, accusing the nanny of flattering the powerful. For her insolence, Nanny Wang slaps Zhu Ningyi soundly, warning her to curb her temper or be expelled from the selection entirely. A humbled Zhu Ningyi backs down. Afterward, Yuanqing and Han Shui trade veiled insults about choosing the right ladder to climb in the palace. The argument escalates until Zhu Ningyi sneers that Yuanqing is only arrogant because of Zhuang Lai's support, calling him a useless eunuch. At that moment, Zhuang Lai's attendant Ensheng appears, having overheard her remarks, and asks if she finds fault with his lord's conduct. Yuanqing watches with interest, curious to see how he will handle the situation. Eunuch Ensheng rebukes Lady Zhu for her line of questioning, stating that Lord Zhuang summoning a candidate privately violates palace rules and is not thorough at all. Flustered, Lady Zhu finds herself in a no-win situation with her answers. Ensheng warns her that as someone aiming to be a mistress of the harem, she'd best learn the rules. Otherwise, it will be hard to get ahead. He then declares loudly that Miss Zhao is an honored guest of the Eastern Depot, and if anyone makes her unhappy, they will be shown no mercy. The surrounding servants bow, acknowledging his instruction. Ensheng then turns to Zhao Yuanqing, informing her that they have been delayed and should be on their way. Zhao Yuanqing asks him to lead the way, and they walk through a beautiful palace courtyard. At the 24 directorates, Ensheng tells her the lord is inside and she may enter on her own. Entering the ornate room, Yuanqing sees Zhuang Lai waiting for her and announces her arrival. He greets her and she formally bows, offering greetings to Lord Zhuang. He tells her to dispense with the formalities and sit, commenting that the palace's dress doesn't suit her. As she sits, she wonders why he would bring that up, and he continues, suggesting the palace is dreadfully dull and that the Eastern Depot is much more fun. She quietly asks why he is saying this, her mind racing. This leads her to the shocking conclusion that he must want her as a companion spouse. He asks her what she is wondering about, and after a moment's hesitation, she blurts out her question, asking if he truly doesn't mean to make her his companion's spouse. He is taken aback, thinking that he only expected her to assume he fancied her, not that her imagination would go so far. He calls her impressive for coming up with such an idea, which causes Zhao Yuanqing to realize she's guessed wrong and is now mortified. Amused, he asks how she got that idea. She counters by asking if he doesn't think he's been too good to her. He dismisses this, explaining that he protects anyone who follows him at the Eastern Depot and that their acquaintance warrants such trivial favors, questioning if that really counts as being too good to her. Completely embarrassed and annoyed by his chattering laughter, she loses her temper and shouts for him to shut up. She then stands, stating she was presumptuous and that it won't happen again and that she won't trouble him further. She turns and storms out of the room. As she walks away, she fumes internally about how she could have asked a eunuch such a thing, feeling she has disgraced herself despite having lived 2 lives. Back in the room, Sheng asks his lord why Miss Zhao left. Zhuang Lai smirks, noting she was mortified into anger and that for someone with such small feet, she looks ready to fly right out the door. He then tells Sheng that he mishandled the situation by treating Zhao Yuanqing like the lady of the household, instead of just a guest. He reasons that since she said he was too good to her, the fault must lie with his people for giving her the wrong idea. Sheng is confused, pointing out that his lord was indeed treating her like his future mistress, even fetching her himself and rushing back to the palace. Zhuang Lai tells him to correct the mistake and orders a fresh set of food sent to Kixu Palace since she didn't eat. Sheng agrees, privately amused and eager to see when his lord will finally figure out his own feelings. As Yuanqing walks through a palace corridor feeling dejected, Sheng catches up to her. He explains that Lord Zhuang feared she'd go hungry and sent him with food. Yuanqing is confused by Zhuang Lai's actions but accepts the food, deciding not to shortchange herself. Later, as she peers out her window, she sees another candidate, Yun Wei, coughing. Hu Jungxin approaches Yun Wei and warns her to be careful, as one can know a face but not a heart. Yuanqing recognizes Hu Jungxin as someone who, in her past life, also became a consort of the emperor and finds the interaction interesting. Time passes, and with Zhuang Lai's influence, Nanny Wang treats Yuanqing with special care and the other candidates no longer bother her. Soon, it is the day of the grand selection, and all the candidates are dressed in their finest attire. As they wait, Zhu Ningyi approaches Yuanqing and snidely remarks that His Majesty already knows Miss Zhao has someone in her heart. Yun Wei tells Yuanqing not to mind her and Yuanqing thanks her, though she notices Hu Jungxin seems on edge. A eunuch announces for the candidates to enter the hall. Inside, the candidates bow before the emperor, the empress dowager, and consort Shu. Consort Shu recommends a Miss Feng who is gentle and skilled at music. The emperor agrees, keeping her token and granting her a sash. He then dismisses the rest of the candidates, bestowing flowers upon them. Zhao Yuanqing is ecstatic, thinking to herself that it's nice she wasn't chosen. In a preview for the next episode, she muses that only by not being chosen can she keep chasing Lord Zhuang. The unselected candidates, including a beaming Yuanqing, are escorted out of the palace gates. She sees Zhuang Lai waiting and approaches him. She smiles and tells him it's because only by not being chosen can she keep chasing him. She smiles and tells him it's because only by not being chosen can she keep chasing him. Zhuang Lai quietly muses that she will be quite a nuisance to handle. Yuanqing feels a profound sense of relief, realizing she has truly altered the beginning of her fate by avoiding marriage to Zhu Suqing and entry into the palace. She bows and sincerely thanks Lord Zhuang for playing along. He tells her she fought for all of this herself and that he only played a small part. She insists he is worthy of her bow for lending a hand. He replies that if she truly wishes to thank him, a single bow won't do. When she asks what he would prefer, he says he'll have to think about it. An official announces the palace gates will open shortly, and Yuanqing takes her leave from Zhuang Lai. As she walks away, he calls her heartless, and Sheng comments that he can't bear to look. Outside the palace, Zhu Ningyi approaches Yuanqing, trying to feign sympathy for her not being chosen. Yuanqing, tired of the pretense, sarcastically agrees that she is utterly heartbroken. She then brags that Lord Zhuang has spoiled her so terribly that she's gotten chubby from the Eastern Depot's fine food, subtly mocking Ningyi for having to starve herself for the selection. Ningyi's friend defends her, saying she'll be an imperial consort and can eat any delicacy she wants, but Yuanqing retorts that when it comes to food, the palace can't match the depot. Ningyi tells Yuanqing she should consider marriage now that she wasn't chosen, but Yuanqing replies that she enjoys her freedom and already has power, so there's no need to hurry and squabble over a man. Annoyed, Ningyi decides to leave, mentioning her parents are waiting for good news. Yuanqing waves goodbye, telling Ningyi to enjoy her last few days of freedom before entering the palace. Back at the Zhao Manor, Yuanqing is greeted warmly by her family, who perform a ritual to sweep away her ill luck from the palace. Her elder sister, Zhao Yuanru, has also come to celebrate. Yuanqing is touched by her family's adorable arrogance in treating her failure to be selected as a cause for a family feast. During dinner, she learns her brother Jinghang will be home in a few days. This brings a pang of worry, as she recalls that in her past life, he went missing on the battlefield and was never found. Her sister invites her to stay at her residence, the Marquisate of Linen, for a few days, and Yuanqing agrees, seeing it as an opportunity to investigate the circumstances of her sister's unhappy fate from her previous life. Before that, however, Yuanqing inspects shop fronts, planning to use her money to build her own power base to protect her family from the emperor. She finds a shop in a prime location but desires a larger space, inquiring about acquiring the two neighboring shops as well. She tells the shopkeeper she plans to open a shop that sells only rare items. Meanwhile, at the Eastern Depot, Zhuanglai is idle and finds his food awful and monotonous without Yuanqing around. Ansheng cautiously suggests paying Miss Zhao a visit, but Zhuanglai dismisses the idea, claiming they only used each other and there's no need to stay in touch. Ansheng then reports an incident from the palace. Beauty Zhu complained to the Empress Dowager about Nanny Wang's favoritism toward Yuanqing. Nanny Wang defended herself brilliantly, stating that since Yuanqing was just a candidate, she was lenient, but now that Zhu is a beauty, she must be held to a higher imperial standard. The matter was dropped, but Zhuanglai instructs Ansheng to keep an eye on Nanny Wang and, pointedly, to send word of the incident to the Zhao residence, revealing his desire to remain in Yuanqing's thoughts. The next day, Yuanqing arrives at the Marquisate of Linen to visit her sister. She reflects that while the heir of Linen seemed devoted, he cast her sister aside without hesitation when the Zhao family fell in her past life. Upon arrival, she's told by a maid that her sister, the heir consort, is busy entertaining family guests of the madam, the Marchioness. Yuanqing finds this timing suspicious and is led to the main hall. There, she sees the Marchioness fawning over her niece, Zhu Ning, and openly discussing a potential match between Zhu Ning and her son in front of her own daughter-in-law, Yuanqing's sister. When the Zhao sisters are announced, the Marchioness dismisses them as just some friends from her daughter-in-law's mother's side, showing her disdain. She insists they all stay and chat, forcing a tense introduction where Zhu Ning pointedly introduces herself to Yuanqing as a childhood friend of the heir, brother He Yaming. The Marchioness brushes off the incident, saying Yuanqing is new to this and will be fine once she's more familiar with their ways. Yuanqing, however, is furious that her sister is being blamed for Yang Zuning's breach of decorum and decides to take her sister away from the awkward situation. She politely informs the Marchioness that since she has guests, they won't intrude and she'd like to borrow her elder sister for a private chat, subtly smoothing things over while making her point. The Marchioness agrees and Yuanru leads Yuanqing and their younger sister away. Outside, Yuanru chides Yuanqing for coming over herself instead of waiting for the maid, knowing full well she came to back her up. Yuanqing asks who the guests were, and Yuanru explains that the Marchioness is anxious to find a concubine for her son, Lin Heiyaming, since she has been unable to produce an heir after 3 years of marriage. However, Heiyaming has refused all attempts, insisting his firstborn son must be from his principal wife, which is why his mother is now resorting to old acquaintances. Despite the mother-in-law's meddling, Yuanru assures Yuanqing that Heiyaming treats her well. Later, the 3 sisters are joined by Lin Heiyaming for dinner. He warmly welcomes his sisters-in-law, and the youngest playfully asks if she can sleep with her big sister, to which Heiyaming teasingly replies that she's all his by night. A servant interrupts to inform Heiyaming that his mother requests his presence for dinner with Miss Yang. Heiyaming dismisses the servant, stating that whoever invites a guest should be the one to entertain them and that he is busy hosting his own guests. He tells the servant that if his mother is unhappy, she can have his father accompany them instead. Witnessing this, Yuanqing is reassured that her brother-in-law genuinely stands up for her sister. After dinner, the 3 sisters walk in the garden and Yuanru calls for pastries and some of her home-brewed peach blossom wine. A maid of Yang Zuning's approaches and demands a share of the wine for her lady, but the servant refuses, stating the special brew is reserved only for the honored Zhao ladies. The indignant maid runs off to tell her mistress. Soon after, Yang Zuning herself appears with her entourage, interrupting the sisters. She comments on the wonderful smell of peach blossom wine, but Yuanqing coolly replies that it isn't peach blossom wine and wonders aloud why she would think so. Their youngest sister chimes in, pointing out that it's the wrong season for peach blossoms and the scent is clearly that of peach fruit. Undeterred, Zuning asks to sit and have a taste, but Yuanqing bluntly tells her they don't like interruptions. Zuning then asks Yuanru if she dislikes her, to which Yuanru calmly replies that it's only their second meeting, so she has no strong feelings either way. Yuanqing then unleashes a sharp retort, asking Zuning if she asks everyone she meets whether they like her because everyone she's met so far dislikes her. When Zuning claims she was just making conversation, Yuanqing mockingly suggests she see a physician, as her tendency to seek validation might be an illness. Yuanru tries to smooth things over, but Yuanqing doubles down, inviting Zuning to sit so she can properly explain the concept of refusing treatment out of pride. Flustered and humiliated, Zuning makes a hasty retreat. Yuanru asks Yuanqing when she learned to talk back so sharply, and Yuanqing muses that she's becoming more and more like Zhuanglai. After 6 days at the Marquisate, Yuanqing concludes that her sister's marriage is currently stable, and the future divorce must have had hidden reasons. Elsewhere, the Marchioness laments to Zuning that if Heiyaming had married her instead, she'd already have a grandson. Zuning resolves that even without a good lineage, she will win her own place and become the future Marchioness herself. Back at the Eastern Depot, Zhuanglai asks for an update on his errand to the Zhao residence, only to be told Miss Zhao was visiting relatives. He sends another subordinate, Chen Mo, who is eager to go. Chen Mo finds Yuanqing at her residence and awkwardly explains that Lord Zhuang sent him to talk about the incident with Zhu Ningyi and Nanny Wang in the palace. Yuanqing is confused, finding the matter trivial and wondering why Zhuanglai would send someone just for that. Seeing Chen Mo is thirsty from his long-winded explanation, she correctly guesses that Zhuanglai has been in a foul mood and taking it out on his subordinates, and tells Chen Mo she understands. Chen Mo reports back to Zhuanglai that Miss Zhao said she understood. Zhuanglai is perplexed and has Chen Mo recount the entire conversation word for word. After hearing the details, Zhuanglai's eunuch and Sheng explains to the clueless Chen Mo that his lord was just looking for a pretext to talk to Yuanqing, and he failed to convey the real message, making them look foolish. Zhuanglai orders En Sheng to go to the Zhao residence himself the next day with a gift to properly explain and apologize. Meanwhile, Yuanqing finalizes the purchase of 2 adjoining shops for her new venture. She learns from one of the shopkeepers, Chen, that he is selling his shop to pay for his wife's mysterious illness. He offers to buy her a gift, but she declines, saying she should be the one buying him something. She then gets to work drawing up the plans to combine the 2 shops. True to her word, she later asks an imperial physician to examine the shopkeeper's wife, whose condition begins to improve. All this time, Zhuanglai waits for a message from Yuanqing that never comes. Finally losing patience, he's informed that she has been seen at the Kyoyu residence, a jewelry shop. Annoyed that she has time for trinkets but not for him, he goes there himself. He has the entire shop cleared out, leaving only a surprised Yuanqing. He sarcastically greets her, asking what has caught her eye and declaring that he'll buy whatever she likes just to toss it around for fun. She turns his words back on him, asking where he learned to turn the tables so neatly. He accuses her of being heartless after all his kindness, but she coolly replies that while she may be heartless, he is wildly out of line. The tension is broken when their subordinates wisely decide to leave them alone. Yuanqing demands he stop the passive-aggressive sniping, and he confronts her for not responding to the gift he sent via Rensheng. She feigns ignorance, asking what she was supposed to do, thank him for letting his subordinate have fun at her expense. He clarifies that it was meant as an apology. Yuanqing is genuinely shocked, finding it unbelievable that the infamous Zhuanglai would ever apologize. He explains he wasn't the one who sent Chen Mo, but had sent a message about the Nanny Wang incident as a reminder that he was looking out for her. They agree that next time, someone else should pass the messages. He offers to buy her a gift, but she declines, saying she should be the one buying him something. He teases her that she now owes him a thank you gift as well before taking his leave. After he's gone, the shopkeeper, grateful for her protection, gifts her several small items. She accepts, planning to pass them on to Zhuanglai later. That night, Zhuanglai is informed that his men have subdued a squad of shadow guards outside the capital. He goes to interrogate them himself. The guards are defiant, with one biting off his own tongue. Zhuanglai calmly orders his men to torture the rest, cutting out their tongues and gouging their eyes. One of the guards breaks and confesses they were sent by the emperor to ambush someone. When asked who, the guard reveals their target was Zhao Jinhang, Yuanqing's brother.